Hello, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin, and I'm the author of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. All of my 11 published books are available on Amazon. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do tarot and astrology readings. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. Welcome back to the Empowerment Tribe, where we're talking about self-actualization, self-realization, and of course, self-empowerment. And today's video is about immediate relief of negative emotions. So we're gonna talk about this, and I promise you, if you follow this today, you will have immediate relief of your negative emotions. I'm gonna start by telling a little bit of a story about myself. So when I was little, I was an extremely sensitive child, very, very sensitive. I was really emotional, and of course, I didn't know all of these things. I didn't know the language for that. And if I was at school and I didn't get picked to play with on the playground, or my best friend said, I want to go play with somebody else on the playground, I felt crushed, like so crushed, that I thought that my best friend hated me, or another person hated me, or if I wasn't picked to play jump rope, it was jump rope at the time. If I wasn't picked to play dodgeball, or if a best friend didn't invite me over for a sleepover, but they invited somebody else for a sleepover, I always had this really negative self-talk. I was always like, oh my God, it's because they don't like me anymore, because they hate me. And I really went to hate. I don't know why, but that was my immediate emotion. I always went to hate. Like, they really don't like me anymore. Now, fast forward many years, when I was in my 20s, I still kind of had this notion of if somebody didn't call me back, or later on, if somebody didn't text me or text me back, I felt like I did something wrong. I felt like it was my fault. Like I did something wrong. I did something to annoy them. I did something to make them hate me. Again, there's that word hate. So I was really insecure about that. And I second guessed myself and others' motives like all the time, until I realized that's really not the way to live. I was in my late 20s when I discovered these teachings, and it totally changed my life, because I went from someone who felt extremely insecure, and I was certain that if other people were talking, that they were certainly talking bad about me, or if somebody didn't invite me to an event, that certainly it was my fault that they didn't invite me to the event because I said something or did something that hurt their feelings, or they just didn't like me. And when I discovered this principle in my late 20s, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And it did take some time to adopt this practice. And so here it is. Don't take anything personally. Anything personally, ever. Don't ever, ever, ever take anything personally, because it's never about you. In any instance, it's not about you. And when I really integrated this and understood this principle, I felt immediately better. Now, it has taken years and years and years to adopt this and to really integrate it into my being. And of course, we're human. And if you're really dealing with a very personal situation, it can feel really personal. But overall, everyone is just living in their unique bubble. So really, when somebody says to you, do you think you're the center of the universe? The answer is yes, because the answer is you are the center of your universe. I'm the center of my universe. And everybody else is also the center of their own universe. And what that means is We're all out there in the world just trying to get our needs met. We're out in the world trying to feel better in every moment, to get our needs met, to get our wants and desires met. And so in that way, we are actually the center of the universe, our own universe. And when we realize this, we realize that it's impossible to take anything personally. And in fact, it's detrimental to take things personally. And that is the basis typically for so much negative emotion. Because if you're interacting with somebody or interacting with people at large, right? It could be in a society, in a club, in a group that you happen to be a part of, or a cause you happen to believe in. And if you really truly believe that the other people are there to make your life miserable in some way because they said something to you or did something or didn't support your cause or didn't support what you said or whatever it happens to be, you're creating more misery for yourself. Let me give you a few examples. If someone cuts you off on the highway, it's not about you. But how many times have you actually made it about you? Where you get really angry and you get offended and you shout back at that other driver. I know I've done that. If a store clerk is rude to you, it's absolutely positively not about you. It has nothing to do with you. It may have been the person that was before you, or it may be that they're just having a bad day, or they didn't get enough sleep, or they had an argument with their significant other before work. But it's absolutely positively not about you. If someone doesn't smile at you when you smile at them, it's absolutely not about you. Even if your child screams, "I hate you," just know that that too is absolutely not about you. We spend so much of our time worrying, being concerned, being upset about things that other people do or say or don't say. We spend so much of our time and it consumes so much of our energy wondering, how did they mean that? What did they really mean? Trying to read between the lines and thinking and feeling that it's completely about you, when 99.999% of the time, it's all about them. And the reason I say 99.9999% of the time is because sometimes if your behavior is so horrible that somebody points it out to you, then yes, it's about them, but it's also about you. But most of the time when we get offended, most of the time when we take things really personally, it has nothing at all to do with us whatsoever. Like, for example, have you ever gotten offended if a store stopped carrying your favorite brand or your favorite drink or something, and it's ruined your entire day? But it was absolutely never about you. It was probably a financial or business decision. And so we spend so much of our time getting offended, spend so much of our time taking things personally, even when it comes from our friends, family, significant others. And if we can just let that go completely and really understand the notion that if my mother argues with me, it is absolutely not about me, it's about my mother. If my spouse decides that they are grumpy and not in a great mood, it has nothing to do with me, so I will not integrate that into my being and feel like I did something wrong. And so when we really let go of this completely, it just releases so much of the negative emotion that we tend to hold on to. I'm going to give you another example, and you're going to laugh, in the way that even though I've been working at this for over 20 years, that it still affects me from time to time. I was visiting my son, Jay, over in Virginia, and Jay recently celebrated his 30th birthday. And for his birthday, I asked him what he wanted. I sent him a couple of gifts. One of them was through Amazon, and it was a rice cooker that he had asked for. So, I spent about $35-40 on this rice cooker. And when Jay opened it and they started it, the rice cooker didn't work. And so I sent Jay the link and I said, here, you can get a refund. you can take it back to Kohl's or Whole Foods or whatever, and you can get a refund or you can reorder the rice cooker. So when I was visiting Jay in Virginia, he had this big bag that he was taking to like recycling and to charity. And he picked up the rice cooker that I'd sent to him and he said, oh, see, like there's the dead rice cooker. I'm like gonna send this to the recycling center. And I felt immediately sad and a little bit offended. And inside of myself, I was like, what? And I said to Jay, well, why didn't you just take it back? Because Amazon would have refunded it or given you another rice cooker. And he said, no, because I was thinking about it and they're just going to probably trash it. And I want to make sure that it's properly recycled. So I just sucked it up and my spouse and I bought another rice cooker. And I just felt instantly crushed because I was like, oh my God, that was a gift. But then I thought about this principle and I was like, okay, it's totally not personal. And when you give a gift, it is no longer yours. When you give a gift, it belongs to the other person if they receive it. And then the other thing that came to me was like, how many times have I done that to my parents where they gave me a gift and I was like, oh, I don't want this. I never asked for this. Here, take it back. And so it made me laugh a little bit, laugh at myself, and then laugh at all of my previous actions when I returned gifts to my parents and I was like, I don't need this. I don't want this. I never asked for this. And I'm sure you've done something along those lines too. But when I remembered the principle and I said, like, this isn't about me. Once you give the gift, it's gone. It belongs to that person, and that person, they can do whatever they darned well please with that gift. Another thing to watch out for is making up stories in your head when you have nonverbal cues from another person. Sometimes what we like to do is take nonverbal cues and interpret them to be personal toward us. So if you see somebody at a party and they don't say hello to you or they don't acknowledge your presence and you've known them, a lot of times we make stories up in our head as to why they didn't say hello to us. Oh, they're rude. Oh, God, they're such jerks. We make up all these stories in our heads because we're taking those nonverbal cues as personal, when in reality, it may very well be that they were just totally wrapped up in something else. Now, I'd like to expand this before we close off. I'd like to expand this into a broader perspective. A lot of people these days, because so much is communicated through social media and the internet, so many people these days take immediate offense and claim as personal injury things that groups are saying, whether these are causes, political groups, social media groups, whatever it happens to be. And some people ruin their entire day getting offended about what other people are saying because of their belief systems. Because what they believe in and because you believe something different, you take it really personally, especially if you categorize yourself into a specific group. So let's say you're Mexican American and somebody says something against Mexican Americans, you might tend, maybe you don't. And congratulations if you don't. But you might take it really personally and feel that personal injury and get really upset and get really angry because somebody somewhere on the internet said something against Mexican Americans. For example, if you're in the LGBTQ plus community, I think I said that right, and somebody says something against it on social media, in a group, on a news channel, or on YouTube or whatever, and then you feel personally offended because you are a part of that group, but then you take it and you carry that throughout your day as personal injury. So a lot of that is just negativity and negative feelings that you're fostering within yourself, when in reality, who you are as a person, what other people say, and people can say anything, right? People can say anything about anyone at any time. But if you don't take it personally and you know that it's really not about you, then it doesn't ruin your day. Now, if you're getting upset and triggered at that, let me tell you one final story. I've been on YouTube since 2011, but really full-time since 2019. And throughout that time, I've posted quite a few videos on various topics. And I will tell you some of the things that were posted in the comments that were really directed at me, and how I could not in any way, shape, or form take those personally, even though they were directed at me. I have heard, "Stop touching your hair, you touch your hair too much in the videos, it disgusts me." I have heard, "Your voice sounds like Fran Drescher." I have heard, "You have a really annoying voice." I have heard, "You look like a drag queen." I have heard so many different crazy comments and things that were totally directed at me personally, and I didn't take them personally. In fact, I usually have a good laugh at that. And it's easy really to get caught up in people attacking you directly over social media, especially if you are out there in the world. What was the latest comment? "The music you have on your channel totally annoys me. You've got to stop it." Okay. Okay, sorry that annoys you. And in other words, they were taking what I was doing naturally, personally, for them, even though I am broadcasting these videos to anyone who cares to view the videos on YouTube. So you know it's absolutely not personal. So if you can just take away this one thing for today, your negativity will diminish exponentially. And not even the guys who are working on the lawn in my neighborhood that you can probably hear through this video, they're not doing this to make my video worse, and I am not taking that personally. I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who want to learn more about self-empowerment. And thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can purchase one of my 11 published books. You can book a reading with me, and I will see you in the next video.